Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back on the last session of the HR analytics. It was really wonderful. So again, you all know me now very well. It's like now it's nice to have a great connection. And if you want to reach out anytime, please feel comfortable. So there's some of you are already with me on LinkedIn. So yes, thank you so much for this. All right. Yes, I've already shared that Prism is into the trainings. And if you want to reach out to me on social media, Anubhavalia hashtag, and social media is @Anubhavalia accordingly for the Prism philosophy, which is our company details. So we'll follow the same thing. We'll have some set of chat box activity, but then today would be more on the excitement aspect of what are the prominent analysis that we can actually use in our analytics world. So let's move and understand today's session details, which will focus on important matrix. So I have two elements. One of them is focus on retention, absenteeism, learning and development details. And then I have, made another one, which is into the recruitment and revenue, right? So probably you might find the session bit on the faster pace, but the reason is if you feel that yes, something is you really want to go deep dive, just please feel free to ask me. Okay. So let's start. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the very important element, which are the matrix, which are very fundamental part of the HR. So if you will see, there are 11 metrics which I'm going to highlight. This one will focus on the retention, absenteeism and L&D aspect, right? So which you can use it. So basically, if you will see, that the HR matrix actually provide a very quick overview of HR effectiveness, and we can actually use the KPIs, that is key performance indicators. So these key metrics, let's say when we're talking about either an absenteeism or when we're talking about retention or L&D. So let's figure it out. How does that work? So let's say we talk about absence rate, right? Now, this is one of the thing I have seen people use because they, there is an unscheduled absence rate, which is nothing but absent days over FTE, right? Which is a key matrix to measure the absenteeism. And I think you can actually use it to track the percentage of the workers who are absent during a given period of time. And trust me, this is one insight. If you will use it, it can be beneficial for the organization to know specifically on the, which provides the benchmark over time. It could be the absence level, which can differ from month to month over a longer period of time. And you want to know the rates to be relatively low or stable. So it actually indicates the, the worsening work climate or increased stress in the workplace, or a flu epidemic, or even nowadays, if you will see in the pandemic time, you can actually, do this absence rate analysis. Then there is also, we have is absence per manager. Okay. Now, when you divide the number of absence days in a team or department by the total FTE. So FTE we've already discussed in the first session, which talks about the full-time equivalent. And, this actually, in this, the HR can easily identify the problem area within the company. So when a certain division or a manager structurally struggles with the high level of absence, they may be doing something wrong, or the performance, which is likely going to get suffer. So by enabling this, HR to intervene before the problem gets severe or out of control or out of hand, then this metrics can actually diagnose and works for the on a preventive approach. Then we have overtime expense. Now, overtime expense is like people don't mind working overtime every now and again, and nowadays if you will see, especially in the COVID time, we don't have specific 9 to 5, right? We sometimes have evening engagement with our seniors. So however, when overtime goes through the roof, that is, you can expect your absence rate to follow. So the excessive overtime, especially for longer period of time, example audit season for the accountancy firm, right? Or even for that matter, the audit when we do for the occupational health. So all this also drives the turnover. So consistently when we see high level of overtime is there, it can be actually fixed by hiring additional employees. So one of the good example, that how Amazon during this time actually hired some more than a lakh plus people, and they were doing the delivery during the pandemic time. So the organization actually do the analytics on such manner. Then we have employee productivity index. Now, one of the key and crucial. The in the past, or I would say traditionally, employees work from 9 to 5. Yet, you will find some people work from home also. And now it's like work from home is becoming really, new normal for all of us. So companies are increasingly letting the traditional mentality go. So this means that the performance actually can no longer be measured by looking at who shows up on the screen, who doesn't show up on the screen. So it doesn't really matter how many hours you work in a day. What actually matters is what you actually achieved and what you actually produced, how it contributed. So the productivity index tracks this, and if you will use this productivity track index, it can actually help you to provide the challenges of how productivity is defined. And this can actually differ from organization to organization, functions to functions, with some set of careful consideration that has to be done. So you will see that specifically in the L&D, which is becoming a very important in this current scenario. And I did mention you one of the statistic that how the L&D has started, emphasizing on the learning, and 63% people have, upskills their learning, very interestingly. So, a lack of development opportunity is that could be the reason young talent leaves your company. So the effective training will lead to be more productive workforce. So this is why you can measure the training effectiveness, which is a key HR metrics. Now, as we're talking about uh, L&D aspect, training expense per employee. I know I come from an L&D background. My God, there is a very deep dive into this, and people do detailed calculations to it. So this metric is very helpful in actually tracking down the development costs. So it also helps you from all from HR profession to make a very smart investment in developing people. So HR is coming around to the facts that a day long training courses, we all know it's expensive also, and sometimes it becomes inadequate to provide a continuous learning experience with the people. And nowadays the staggered sessions, or 2 hour sessions or 3 hour sessions, and on a regular interval, so it has a different benefit altogether. And that turns out to be beneficial in the form of budget, because it leads to a more effective training program from the employee point of view. So you need to measure that accordingly. That's another thing I would suggest, if you can measure it into the analytics part. Another one is effectiveness index. So I would say training effectiveness index. So yesterday we did talk about correlation, regression aspect. We did talk about the scatter diagram. We talked about the mean, talked about the mode, we talked about the median. We did talk about the geometric mean, harmonic mean, right? Now, when we talk about the effectiveness of training, what you need to measure, what people learn. End of the day, that is very critical and important. And it is tricky, trust me, because sometimes it becomes so very difficult to know that whether the output what you are giving is beneficial or not. So you cannot just measure an employee's performance before and after training. This is because people generally apply training when they feel that they are underperforming. So people who perform below the average for, let's say, more than a month or more than a 2 month are more likely to return to their average performance the next month. Now, this phenomena is called regression to the mean. Okay. And this would give an unbalanced view of your training effectiveness. So when you actually do the training effectiveness, it is always better to set the training goals and check whether employees have reached these goals when the training is over. And there should be some set of baseline productivity. You should work on the impact aspect for a longer time. So, in a very simple word, after effective training, you would expect the employee productivity index to increase. So, do the measurement accordingly. Okay. With this, we also have training efficiency. Now, let me tell you, there is one word called effectiveness and there is one word called efficiency. Effectiveness is important because measuring the efficiency of training will help you to make the most of your money. That is why efficiency we calculate. So how do we calculate training efficiency? We calculate training efficiency, which is training expense per employee over training effectiveness. And training effectiveness, as we already discussed, by the regression model that we do. So, the metric to keep track of is how satisfied your employees are with the development opportunity which you have provided. So a lack of development opportunity is a key predictor of employees turnover. And you will see that training, you'll find it is often used to reward employees and create a commitment to the organization. So when people are happy with the company's new and amazing learning LMS system, they won't use it and thus won't learn. But here we have to make it very interesting, which is they should be feeling happy in their job. And when they're happy in the job, you will find that it will become fascinating and a bonus metrics for you. And that is why you have to make a very seamless approach in your conduct. And then with this we also have employee happiness. Employee happiness, we keep checking people by understanding and measured whether employees are satisfied or not satisfied, which is can be recognized through your valuable HR metric that you can use in your organization. And you will find a lot of companies, they actually do in the form of survey. So the employees are productive employees. Are they committed to the organization, or they don't mind working, let's say, overtime when it is required. So such kind of commitment in an organization can actually let you know that yes, how happy they are. Low employee happiness in certain part of the organization can be an indicator of maybe a conflict or maybe a stress. Okay, so you have to figure that out, that is it because of the interpersonal conflict, or either it is because of the stress, or either it and in that stress also what kind of stress it is coming up. Then we have, if you will see, voluntary turnover rate. Okay, now as I mentioned, that turnover, when we talk about let's say in the learning and development, for a lot of companies voluntary turnover is a key HR metric. So turnover is final and most people never come back. So people often quit their managers and not their job. And we all know this because you will see that, the best of the research, the best of the articles when you will read, and they actually say the people don't leave the organization, they leave their bosses. So what's that in mind? The turnover is another metric which can actually help you to identify the potential problem within that organization. So if you can provide that, that shall be so wonderful that it can be used very well by all of you. Then we have, you can see on the screen, the talent turnover rate. Now, not all turnover is bad. Let me tell you this, okay? So we want sometimes. So in the PMS, we all know we make we are a part of rating people, and we make bell curves. And if the rating 1 is the most excellent performer and the 5 is the least performer, so we have to give 5 rating to those set of people, and we want them to leave because they've been not contributing to the organization. So sometimes turnover is good, sometimes turnover is not good. So preferably, the people who don't fit within the company, they will leave. And this is a good turnover. But when your key talent leaves, now this becomes a big problem. So this is why you need to track your turnover of both high potential and low potential. So when I say turnover of your high potential should be low, that is the very key thing. And the important cause of high turnover amongst the high potential is a lack of career opportunity within the company. So that could be one of the reasons which, as per my consultancy project, I have seen. Then when we see a retention rate per manager. Now, we love our manager metrics, I mean, I personally love it. So some managers do an amazing job engaging and connecting with their employees. Still we know that many managers who are not so good in retention, they rates per manager or a division in a metric that help you to identify the ineffective managers. So
I have a question.
yeah, please.
Sorry to, yeah. Actually, when you say this voluntary turnover rate, does that mean the source for this voluntary turnover rate is the exit interviews?
Could be one of them, definitely. That is one of them. Then there could be a performance.
What are the other ways? Like, yeah, okay.
That is like performance review, the goal sheet, the 6 monthly feedback report, then their run rate report. These are all various reports that you have to track down.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Perfect. No problem. Interesting. So retention rate, as I was mentioning, so we know that managers who are not so good, the retention rate per manager, or for that matter division, it's that metric which can actually help you to identify ineffective managers. So once you identify these managers who can actually provide them with the additional support and train them to become an effective manager, trust me, you will see the rates per manager, retention rate per manager is going up. So retention rate might differ between people with different types of job. So you have to understand this. If you are a service industry, it will be different. If you are a manufacturing industry, it will be different. If you're a part of BFSI, it will be different. So you need to understand which industry are you from. Okay. So when similar teams in a similar geographical location show a different kind or a different retention rates, it indicates that there is something rotten in that particular place. Okay. So you have to figure it out, that why in this particular state the retention rate is high, whereas why in that particular place the retention rate is low. So you need to go very deep dive into it, right? Just don't come up with the thought process like this. So you will see these 11 of them, they are very crucial for knowing your retention, absenteeism, and L&D aspect, which has been widely used. And I actually thought you all should be knowing it. Then we have, the matrix which are related to your, specifically onto the two aspects which I'm going to focus on. One is on the recruitment and second one is on the revenue. Okay. Um, so we know that the HR can actually help to track down and measure the performance on a different aspect, right? So when we see these HR metrics examples, specifically in the recruitment side, we see time to hire, which is time in days, and we did a very deep dive session into it. So an important matrix which is for recruitment is the time to hire. Now this is the number of days between the position the date has opened up and till the time the candidate has signed the contract. Now, it's an excellent way to measure the efficiency of the recruitment process, and it can actually provide you the insight into the difficulty of filling a certain position. So there are also a time to fill metric, you will see, and how you can start from the starting point where, when the person has come in till the end point, the person is actually joining the organization. So do have this into the recruitment element. With this, we also have cost per hire, so like, the time to hire, the cost per hire metric, it actually shows how much cost the company to hire a new employee is going to, have. So it says it can be calculated by total cost of hiring over the number of new hires, right? And we all have done these formulas, so I'll not go very deep dive into it, but on the screen you can see. So it's there. So it's also serve actually as an indicator of the efficiency of the recruitment process. There is also something very important which I call them as a early turnover, which is a percentage of recruits leaving in the very first year. And I feel as a part of HR, you should be the first one to, do this matrix and understand and determine that hiring success in your company. Now, this early lever metric indicates whether there is a mismatch between the person and the company, or between the person and his or her position, or the early turnover is also, you will find that it costs big amount of money to the organization. So it usually takes 6 to 12 months before employees fully learn the rope and reach the optimum productivity level. So I know one article which was given by HBR, and they mentioned that it takes a new employee to imbibe the entire culture and the entire setup, and they take 1 year 8 months. Okay, so as an HR professional, we have to give them that period so wonderful, so that we can see they reach the optimum productivity level. So you should figure this out, and in this, there is another thing which we also call it time since last promotion. So average time in months since last internal promotion. So, it is rather a straightforward metric which is useful in explaining why your high potential leaves. Then revenue per employees, which is nothing but simple maths that we do, that is revenue over total number of employees. So it will give you revenue per employee. So you will find that metric shows the efficiency of, the organization as a whole. So end of the year, the major stakeholder of the organization, they actually calculate the revenue per employee. And this is an indicator of the quality of hired employees. And let me tell you, if you can give this statistics to your seniors, this is an element where you can show that your contribution towards the organization. Okay, then there is we also have called performance and potential, which is called 9-box grid. Okay, so 9-box grid is so I'm just going to the next slide because it will be easier for you to show. And what I have done for all of you would be is that we will have the description of these categories into the 4 element. One is work quality metrics, second is work quantity metrics, efficiency metrics, and organization performance metrics. Okay, so when I'm talking about one second, yes, work quality employees, so this is the 9x9 grid. Kindly do not look into the point number 1 to 8 right now. I'll share this with you in some time. So when I talk about this grid approach, so this 9-box grid actually appears when you are measuring and mapping both individuals' performance and potential in 3 levels. So this model shows which employees are underperformer, valued specialist, emerging potential, or top talent. Now, this matrix is great for differentiating between wanted and unwanted turnover. Okay, I was using it when I was a consultant with Honeywell. So this is where you will find that very strongly people use this approach. Okay, then let me come back to your screen. I was sharing with you here. Okay, then we have billable hour per employee. So this is basically, you will find that a very concrete example of the performance measures that is specifically relevant in a professional service firm. So it relates to the things like a kind of performance to employee engagement, or other input metrics, which makes more interesting analysis. And a benchmarking, is when you benchmark this matrix between the different department, or different verticals, or different partners, or with the different managers, you will get a different insight about this. Then definitely we have engagement rating. Now, engagement rating, when we say engaged workforce in a productive workforce. So engagement might be the most important soft HR outcome. Okay, it is not a hard HR outcome, it is a soft HR outcome. So people who like their jobs and who are proud of their company, they are generally more engaged. And even if their work environment is, let's say, stressful or pressurized, still they will perform better, because they are actually optimally utilizing their potential, right? So we have a stress graph, and you know that we all individual have some set of potential performance that comes from the stress only. And we that can only happen when I'm actually thrilled and excited, and accept all kind of challenges, and don't take it as a burden. So the team engagement actually is a very important metric for the team manager success. Now I'll share something very exciting, but let me tell you this, that engagement activity, people, this is a place where they can showcase their talent, and their another exciting stuff which they really hold. And they, can help you to know the different side of the individual. And if you can showcase that, trust me, it will be a wonderful thing. And I would like to share here is that in one of the projects, what we did was, we had a platform. So people used to showcase whether they want to become a blogger, or or they want to write some poem or an article, or they want to sing or whatever, so they used to record it, put it across, and share it. So guys, just give me a second here, please. I just have to about the engagement part. Then there is also that we have is cost of HR per employee. Now, this is a very important matrix, trust me, which will show the cost efficiency of HR, which can be expressed in the form of money that is you have spent. So do have that aspect also, right? And then we have a ratio of HR employees, professionals to employees. So in this, you measure that shows HR cost efficiency. So any organization with fully developed analytical capabilities should be able to have a small number of HR professionals or more. So sometimes it becomes difficult. So you can actually put into the ratio form, and HR professionals to per employee, and that's why you will find we have ERM, employee relationship managers in an organization, and they can actually know, and they can hear the voice of the people. So that's why you can have the cost to it and analytics to it. Then there is also, we call it as a ratio of HR business partner per employee. Okay, now in this what happens is, it is kind of similar to the previous one, But again, so a set of highly developed analytics, the capabilities with HR, it enables to measure and predict the impact of HR policies. So this will enable HR to be more efficient and reduce the number of business partners. So that's another element. Then we have something called turnover, which we call number of leavers over total population in the organization. Okay, so this metric shows how many workers will leave the company, and in a, let's say we can calculate it in a particular year, or when they are combined with, for instance, a performance metric and the turnover metric, which can track down the difference between differences in attrition in high and a low performer. So that's also a very beautiful thing. And then we also have called effectiveness of HR software. Now, in this, it is a more complex metric. So effectiveness of, for instance, learning and development software are measured in the number of active users, which are like average on the platform. So this is a session length, so which is a total time on the platform per user per month. So screen flow, software retention, and you will find, you can know how much people are being able to enable, or they can determine what works for employees and what does not work for them. Definitely absenteeism, which is absence percentage, we did talk about in the last slide, and it is like a turnover. Absenteeism is a very strong indicator of a dissatisfaction and a predictor of a turnover. So in this you will find that this can give you an information to prevent different kind of leaves, a long-term absence, which can be very costly. Again, the difference between individual managers and department, they are interestingly indicator of the problem and the bottlenecks, right? So you can see that there are a lot of different examples of HR metrics. Correct. So let's try and understand furthermore to it, as I discussed about all the 14 of them. But let me share with you and give you an insight about these aspects of four element. So let me take you one by one, and I have made it and split it in a very simple manner, where the employee performance metrics, which are key to track down how well employees are performing. So implementing them in a right way could be tricky, but when done right, you will find that employee performance metric benefits both, obviously organization definitely, and definitely the employees too. So I have listed them in a four main categories. So let's take one by one. So we'll start with the work quality metrics, and then we'll do quantitative metrics, efficiency metrics, and organizational performance metrics. Okay. So the work quality employee performance metrics, you will see it is of 8 types. It is MBO, subjective appraisal by managers, product defects, number of errors, net promoter score, 360-degree feedback. Then we have 180-degree feedback, and then forced rating. Okay, ji. So what is MBO? Now, management by objective, it is a way to structure the subjective appraisal of a manager, which is in use by the MBO concept. So MBO is basically a management model, and we all know, we all have studied in this subject in organization behavior, and it actually aimed at improving the performance of an organization. And here we translate organization goals into an individual specific goal. So these goals often take the form of objective that are set by employees and the managers, right? So the employees work towards these goals, and they report back to the manager with their progress. Now these goals can even be given in a certain weight, which is with the form of number. So in the last class, we talked about balanced scorecard. So we had a different perspective, right? All those four perspective: financial, process, customer, learning. So there are weightage to each perspective. So the same very way it happens here. So upon the successful completion of these goals, points are actually awarded to the employees. So in turn, you will find that managers are able to make goals more tangible and more performance reviews, which are more data driven. Then we have subjective appraisal by manager. So in most companies, you will find that performance is assessed several times a year during maybe a biannual performance review. So employees mostly are assessed on several criterias, right? And the quality of their work being the most common, which we check on that adaptation, what I mentioned earlier about this 3x3 grid. So you will see that employees is assessed on there is a potential and performance. Potential is on a y-axis and performance is on x-axis. So employees with a high performance but low potential are perfect for their current function. That is how they say. So if you will see, my cursor is rotating here. So high potential, definitely we always are in demand for such kind of talented people. So they actually add a great value towards the organization, and they grow up in the ladder. So the employees, when they work towards these goals and report back to the managers, you can actually see how to put them and identify them. Then we have product effects. Guys, it is tricky to measure production quality objectively. Trust me. It is an approach, often seen by more traditional manufacturing industries. It would be to calculate the number of product defects. So defects or incorrectly produced product are the indication of low work quality and should be kept as low as possible. So specifically, I've seen we use these things when you are into a manufacturing firm. Okay. Then with this, we also check the number of errors. So number of errors, that is, the number of input errors could act as actually an alternative to the just what I mentioned right now on the product defects. So the same actually goes for the number of correction in written work or the number of bugs in the software code. So that is how we get to know about the error rate. And it's very easy to calculate in the computing programming, because you can get to know by the single error and stop functioning, right? But then if it is into the function where the process is not properly defined, then it becomes very challenging. So your process has to be very strongly identified. Then we have net promoter score. It is, guys, an indicator of employees performance. So when I say net promoter score, I did mention this in a very deep dive in my third session. It is usually done when you number it from 1 to 10, which represent the willingness of a client to recommend a company service to other potential client. So suppose if we do ISTD do NPS with you all, and they say ki kindly rate Dr. Anubha Walia's session from 1 to 10, that will be used for recommending her for the other potential client. So this is where NPS comes in. So clients who score 9 or 10 are likely to be highly satisfied and will act as a promoter for your company, promoter for your product, promoter for your services, and on. So this score is usually it's been seen very easily and regularly assessed to be done, and we do it specifically in the you might see during the car sale, which were included in the final form where the customer need to sign it. So there it becomes much easier to understand. We have then something called 360-degree and 180-degree. So 180-degree feedback is a simpler version of 360-degree feedback tool. So in 180-degree feedback system, only the employees, direct colleagues, and the manager provide the feedback. So the system is therefore often used by the workers who do not manage people and who do not have a direct customer contact. Whereas in 360-degree, including your peers, your managers, your subordinates, and your customers give the feedback. Then fourth, ranking. Now, this is also called, we call it as a vitality curve. Now, it is a way of ranking employees by asking managers to make a list of his or her best to the worst employees. Okay. And in, you know, in that too, they do it in a particular order. So in this way, all the firm, employees are compared to one another with each other, and their performance gets evaluated. So each ranking is aimed at improving the workforce. So the bottom 10% of the workforce actually can be fired or given a pink slip, and is replaced by the top applicants from the company's talent pool. So this practice is claimed to be a what they say is significant improvement in the workforce potential, right? So I know that there has been a lot of critic about this one, because on this they say it's rank and yank approach, and most companies have stopped this practice. But you will see this practice was very prominent in the GE. And during the when the Jack Welch sir was there, the leader of GE, he was very particular about this force ranking. So absolutely, it is again on you that how to use it and when to use it. So just be very particular about it. Okay. All right, then we have I'm going to talk about is on the work quantity. Okay, so when I say work quantity, we'll start with the number of sales. In this, we also talk about the number of potential clients contacts, number of phone calls attended, number of company visits, number of active leads, unit produced, handling time, first call resolution, contact quality. So these are all quantity related. But when I talk about the efficiency, it is about your work efficiency, that talks about on the employee performance matrix. Okay, so when I say about the sales, that is the number of sales, which is easy to pinpoint, that in the form of employees output. So I will not go into deep dive into it, because this is, we all have been doing it. Okay, but you will see we can easily calculate uh, number of potential client, the contacts, the person is contributing, the number of phone calls the people are actually attending, especially we do it in the BPO, a number of company visits, the person actually do it, and then they update in their system. And then how many of them are active leads, how many of them are hot leads or warm leads or cold leads, and all the sales professionals, they would do that. Okay, so the number of units produced, again, industries which have a different way to express their quantitative output. So the number of units produced was, becomes often a reliable quantitative metrics for all of us. So, just to give an example, how Bloomberg tracks the number of keys that their, approximately 2,500 generalists hit per minute when they are typing on their keyboard. So that's how they do it. So it's absolutely on the number of units that you actually produce. And then we have handling time, which is a first call resolution. Now, we could write, on this, aspect of how much time do you take to handle a particular call or particular service, and how much time do you do to resolve the first call resolution. So you will find that there is a very advanced way, you can figure it out, the matrix, like average handling time, or else average time with the customer on a phone, which could include like a holding time, first call resolution, resolving the at the first time, or the quality of the service they provide. So it all depends, and we can put it into the measure of, do we take so much of seconds, there's a turnaround time for each uh, process. So that is how the handling time and gets connected. When we talk about the important aspect of efficiency, it is a metric which actually considered the resources, like we are talking about efficiency, that is time, money, quantity, and it needed to produce a certain output. So that's how sometimes it's good to use, and it is hard to achieve the balance, which is most of the time you will find the companies struggle with rating employees with their performance review practice. So a great companies like Deloitte, GE, Adobe, they have scrapped performance review mainly because of this reason, because it's very difficult to find out the efficiency level. So the solid performance data will actually help organization to predict future performance, and that is how you have to figure it out how to use that. So with that note, you will see that we have a organization level employee performance metric. So we use revenue per employee, profit per FTE, human capital ROI, absenteeism rate, overtime per employee. And these all four five of them in organization level employees are very important performance metrics, which can help you to assess your own competitiveness. So when I talk about revenue per employee, which is talking about which is related to the full-time equivalent. So this matrix gives a ballpark estimate of how much an individual employee needs to bring in. In this, the low revenue and many employees give a lower rating than the combination of high revenue and a few employees. So this metric can also be used to benchmark companies. Then we see there is called a profit per FTE, which is total profit over full-time equivalent. So in this, you will find it focus very strongly onto the profit instead of revenue. So the company's profit is its total revenue minus expenses. Okay, so we need to figure it out that how high profits per employee is actually a solid metrics in any organization, especially to showcase the financial healthiness. Then we have human capital ROI. Now, human capital ROI is actually, you see, it assess the value of human capital, which is their knowledge, their habit, their social attributes, their personal aptitude, attributes. So, by calculating the company's revenue, which is minus operating expenses, compensation, and benefit cost. And when you divide this number by the total compensation and the benefit cost that the company pays its employees, you can actually calculate the human capital ROI. Okay. And this is a really popular way. A lot of great organizations I know are using it, because measuring the human capital is far reliable and subject to major changes. It can let you know and calculate the ROI for the number of major organizations that I have seen are using it, and it has given a great results. Then definitely absenteeism rate. I will not go deep dive because I have already talked about it. But here I would like to highlight that how absenteeism and performance actually used to get highly correlated, and the correlation matrix gets used for the measurement. Then we have overtime per employee. Yes, it is again full-time equivalent to this is the total hours of overtime over FT. So, we all understand that, if I conclude it in a nice manner, that it is sometimes impossible. Sometimes you'll find that difficult to capture performance in one single employee performance metric. Okay, so that's why it's very important that you should know which metrics to be used, and do we need to combine quantitative with qualitative, or only quantitative to be used. And then try ask the managers, take the review of the people by doing either 180-degree or 360-degree, or else for that matter 90-degree. Figure out the feedback loop and then use it for the multiple purpose. So that's how the things gets used strongly. And my as I say that the performance metrics are often actually combined with a various set of data which can actually be predicted, which hires and likely to use the top performers in the organization. So my suggestion is keep using these metrics and work on it and utilize on it in the best possible manner. So that's a small snippet to all of you from my side. So we are touching now 6:30. So if you have any query question, you can ask me.
I have a question.
Please ask me. Yes,
So
Anshula.
as we are approaching to our semester exam,
Hmm.
so in that per se, I would like to know, as we are all aware that we are going to do an online exam this time, and I would like to know, what kind like about the. There's a very interesting topic actually, HR analytics,
Absolutely.
and yeah,
And
so
trust me, the day you will start playing with the numbers, you will fall in love with the numbers, you know.
yeah.
That shall be the good one. So great.
Hello, yeah, ma'am.
To read out, in fact. So your sessions are always insightful and detailed. Thank you so very much. Thank you so much, Ashish. So I would really appreciate, it's always good to connect and always good to form a bondage on a long-term basis. I have sent an email. If you can share your feedback, to us, that will be really good. It will take exactly not more than 30 seconds. If you can, give us a rating in the link which I have forwarded, right? So
Sure.
it will be always great. And if I see if I have it here, I'll just put it for all of you. And yes. Okay. So if you
Hello.
can, I'm just, yes, sir.
Yeah. Ma'am, I just have a question to ask you. While we were
Yes,
discussing the 11 HR metrics, so could you please make a distinction between effectiveness and efficiency, the training effectiveness index and the training efficiency index? So, what is the difference between effectiveness and efficiency?
okay. First, you tell me what is the difference between both these words. First, just tell me the difference between both these words.
Well, I got a little confused actually. I mean,
No, that's okay. Absolutely good. But just tell me what is the basic difference between efficiency and effectiveness. First, let's
uh,
start.
is it something about the perspective? I mean, like training, if does training effectiveness mean like what people learn, and then training if basically that's from the organization's point of view, and efficiency is basically like what is my perspective of the training from the employee's point of view. Am I correct?
Yeah. So basically, I'll just help you out in this. What happens is, when we do the training assessment, we take after the session, we give them the feedback form, right?
Right. Yes. Yeah.
So we check their reactions by understanding their happiness index. Did you enjoy the program?
Right.
How
Exactly.
right? All those things, right? And when I talk about in the training effectiveness index, okay, you measure what people have learned. So you do reaction. You also
Right.
do the learning, if aspect, that pre-session test and post-training session test.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Yes.
but you cannot measure the employee's performance before and after the training. That we all understand.
Right.
So,
Yes. Obviously.
right. So this is because people generally apply, for training when they feel that they're underperforming. So whenever the people are underperforming, we immediately call them for the training. So
Right.
people who perform below their average for a respective month, are more likely to return to their average performance, let's say the next month. So
Right.
what we do is, what can I know your name, my dear?
Yeah. My name is Rajdeep.
Rajdeep. So Rajdeep ki performance on the first month was X. On month two, second month, it was X plus 1.
Right.
On the
Yeah.
third one, let's say X minus 1. Okay, I'm just
Oh,
telling you.
perfect.
So
Sure.
what
Yeah.
I do is,
Perfect.
we take out the mean.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's why I said we calculate. We also call this as a regression to the mean.
Right.
So this would give you this would give an on sometimes when you don't do a proper manner of calculation, it might give you an unbalanced view of training effectiveness. So when you do training effectiveness, it is always better to set a training goal in mind and check whether that employee has reached that goal or not.
Excellent.
Suppose
Yeah, absolutely
on
fine.
the
Yeah,
performance wise, so let's say
right,
in the ISTD exam, we should be ensuring that the student should score 75 and above. ठीक है,
right.
ये
Yeah,
मेरा goal है, ठीक है. अब
yeah,
my
yeah,
training should be in such a manner that students are able to achieve those 75%.
right. Yeah,
This
yeah,
is called effectiveness of training. Is this clear?
right. Yeah, clear. Yeah,
What is efficiency? Now, effectiveness is important, but when I'm measuring the efficiency of training, it will help you to make the most of your money, because see, your time is getting invested, my time is getting
right.
invested.
Yeah,
So the training expense per employee, ISTD is
right,
spending some cost, and
right,
there is a cost here. So training expense per employee divided by training effectiveness is your training
right,
efficiency.
right. Okay,
Okay, so that's how it works.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, got it. Yeah,
Okay, perfect.
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Superb, nice. So there would be some reading material. I would be sharing it across. I have your mail IDs, and it will be, I will be sending it to the ISTD. They will forward it to all of you. Okay. And thank you so much, Saurav, for appreciating for the session. Thought provoking. Okay, great and informative. I like the Neelam. Thank you so much. Your session was always insightful, aroused interest in analytics. Wonderful session. All my pleasure. Thank you so much. And it was really nice to connect each one of you, So thank you so
Thank
very
you.
much.
Right.
Thank you
Dr.
so much.
Anubha,
Thanks.
thank you. I am not a hardcore HR person, as mentioned earlier, but this session has been really insightful, and I got a good understanding of core HR processes and analytics. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Perfect. So you can, if you want to reach out this book, you can want to buy and want to know more about analytics. It will really help you out if you can, take it up. So it's again as per your comfort. So do that. Okay. Superb. So thank you so much. All the
Thank
very
you.
best for your exam.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Alok ji, close the session.